Salute, Nick family. Dive into the video. I only get to hear it once a week. Welcome to the Queen's Court. My name is Stephanie from AKA Queen from Dope Soul Sports Talk in my weekly spot here on the Nothing But Knicks channel. You know how we do it. We're going to go over last week's games. We'll talk about next week's games. And in the middle, we'll talk about some storylines related to our New York Knicks. I guess the change in the starting lineup is old news. We'll still talk about it, but it's almost old news given the news today that Mitchell Robinson will be out for 8 to 10 weeks, right as we're about to embark on this 5 game road trip, 4 of those games on the West Coast. Let me get in the panel. I got Josh, aka Uncle Fulio. How are you? Jeff,
How's it?
resident panelist, Dope Soul Sports Talk. How are you?
Terrific. Thanks for having me.
All right,
Salute
all
to
right.
Queen, salute to Jeff.
Yeah,
Salute
yeah.
to you,
Looking
Mr.
forward
Jeff.
to the discussion. Be sure to support the channel. Cash App, Nothing But Knicks, PayPal.me, Nothing But Knicks. The channel, as you all know by now, has been demonetized, so no super chats. If you are a monthly member, you got to keep that $5 this month, but donate it to the channel right here. And I think I have a banner. There we go, that I can run along the bottom. All right, there we go. I just want to do something really quick before we get started. I know we chomping at the bit, but I want to give a shout out to the MBK family of shows. We got you covered for all your Nick needs during the course of the season, pregame, postgame, the shoot around with the creator of the channel, Simeon Russell, the NBA wrap up with Ron of Still Nick Fans, the controversy with Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, the Losers Lounge with Tony of Knicks and Bruises, who won't be here tonight. Live shows and videos by International Andy, Queen's Court, the show tonight with yours truly, myself, Dope Soul Sports Talk, and then special programming and events by Sim. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you'll be notified anytime we drop content on this channel. All right, so a lot to talk about. How we usually do it, we start with last week's game. So let's just keep it consistent, though. I'm chomping at the bit to talk about Mitch. Um, all right, so just a review. Last show, we were 12-7. Right now, we're 12-9. So that means we went 0-2 during the week. We lost to Milwaukee. We lost to Boston. We'll get into that. We're now 7th in the Eastern Conference. We're on a 2-game losing streak. Offensive rating is 11. Defensive rating 9. Net rating 10. And these were our 2 losses, both in Milwaukee, we played in the in-season tournament, the knockout round, and then the 2 teams who lost played each other. And that was us in Boston. Anyway, we lost in Milwaukee, 146-122. Randall paced us in points with 41. Barrett had 8 rebounds. We shot 49.4% from the field, 30.4 from the three-point line, and 87.9 from the free throw line. And that's what actually kept us in that game in the first half when we went, I believe it was 18 of 19 or 17 of 18, one of those. Then we played Boston, another loss, 133-123. Brunson and Barrett both had 23. Hartenstein had 16 rebounds. We shot 50% from the field, 40% thereabouts from the three-point line, 74.1% from the free throw line. Let me bring in a panel. Ajay, let us know when you're ready. So the same, okay. The same question, every week, what stood out in this 0-2 week, offensively, defensively, coaching wise, player wise, or any other wise you want to talk about. We'll go in order and then we'll mix it up. So we'll go Josh, Jeff, Ajay, and we'll mix it up from there.
All
Salute
right.
to
Well, first of all, yeah, salute to you, AJ. Salute to Queen. Salute to Jeff. Salute
Josh.
to the Queen's Court, MBK family. Salute to Dope Soul. Well, I think the thing that stood out for me, people, always say Josh is going to be the negative one and talk about the negative. I'm going to focus on the positive. Offense. Our offense, we scored 120 something points in both of those games against, Boston and Milwaukee. Even though we got outscored, as the final score definitely tells us, but I like the fact that our offense is still running on all cylinders. I think we're moving the ball a little bit less. But I think offensively we've been able to knock down shots. As you pointed out, Steph, 50% from the field in both of those games almost. From the three in the first game, in the game against Milwaukee, we didn't shoot that well. But the second game, we definitely shot much better from three. It's just that we didn't stop them, right? So offensively, I think that's what stood out for me. And let's see if Julius Randle is going to be able to continue his strong stretch of basketball moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Julius Randle, I was super impressed in the Milwaukee game. Not necessarily his efficiency in percentage, but just his efficiency in movement, just how quickly he got to his shots. Boom, boom, bam. It was there or it wasn't. So, yeah, I like the way he's playing as of late. Jeff, what stood out for you this week?
Well, my big thing from this past week is we got to quit chasing the cheese. And what I mean by that is, the mousetrap, right? We're not a team that likes to play at that high pace, that torrid pace, that track meet pace. I don't think that's the Knicks' identity. And I think when you go away from what was working for us early on in the season, obviously the teams were playing very talented offensively, but I could tell at halftime of both of those games that there was no way we're going to win just because of the amount of points that had been scored. We've got to play at a slower pace. But that comes back to getting stops and getting rebounds. If they're making shots, it's tough to, it's tough to set up your defense. It's tough to, it's utilize a lot of the things that we do well when teams are shooting. The Bucks shot 60% from the field and from threes. So when you just, I guess, tip your cap in that instance. But I really feel like this is going to be I feel like this is a team where the guards kind of want to go out and play with pace and play fast, but it's like I think they have to make a conscious decision to kind of rein that in and not give into that temptation and stick with your identity and who you are. And I think we're much better as a team if we're in the half court sets and it's a little bit slower of a game and may not be as pretty to watch, but I don't think that with our personnel, I mean, we even shot the ball well and we got run out of the gym in both of those games. That shows you that teams can give us points, but if they get us out of what we do well and the formula that we have for success, it's a problem. We need to be dictating to the other team, and I felt like this week we got dictated to in both of those games.
But do you think a lot of it was due to the fact that it's hard to dictate your pace when you're playing teams that, are better than you, at least on paper? Or do you feel that wasn't the case? It was just the Knicks slipping and not really focusing?
I'll go with something that Tom Thibodeau said to answer that. He said they just didn't feel us defensively. You know what I mean? They didn't feel us defensively. And to me, that says that has as much to do with us. I mean, we have to make that conscious choice. They have to feel us defensively. We have to make the decision that our identity is on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to get stops, and our offense will flow from our getting stops instead of just trading threes for twos is what it seemed like in the first game. And look, that Boston team at home, I don't think they've lost a game. Their net rating of that starting unit is off the charts. The only reason they lost to Indiana was that Kristaps didn't play. So I get it. There's extenuating circumstances, and I'm not going to kill the team over losing to the two top teams in the Eastern Conference when I think everybody on this panel and most of the folks in the chat who are pretty smart about this team know that we're clearly at least third fiddle if we're even that high on the totem pole. And I'm not sure that we are. We all want to be, but, I think third through sixth is kind of where I envisioned us at the beginning of the year. I think we still have possibilities on that, but the injuries are going to make it tough. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes, we definitely will. AJ, your takeaways from this week?
Well, I'm going to go with a couple of positive things to follow. I mean, not that there aren't negatives, but I mean, there are a lot of bad things that happened this week. But one thing is, Josh already mentioned that our offense is clicking. And that is excellent, because if there is one thing Tom Thibodeau is good at, is making defensive adjustments. So we can fix that. If our offense was crappy and was like we couldn't get anything, then we'd be in trouble because Tom Thibodeau, like it's like running in mud with him when it comes to the offense. But defense, that's his comfort zone. I'm pretty sure we can fix that. We have the players in place, we have the staff in place to fix that. So because our offense is good, the defensive adjustments we can make. I'm not worried about that. So I think we're probably going to do that. Yeah, we need a couple of sub 500 teams to get us going, and that's fine. And nothing wrong with that. We get a couple of guys, a couple of teams. Hopefully, we can use them to get get back on track. And so if we can keep our offense the way it's been the last couple of games, and then we tighten the defense the way we can, I think we're going to be in good shape. Okay, listen, we're not being delusional. We're just I'm pointing out the positive. Like I said, there's a ton of negatives that happened
Right.
in the past few. The other thing is, I was pleasantly surprised, I should say, that Tom Thibodeau replaced Grimes in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
As we know, he does
touch on
not.
it. We'll talk about it more in the next segment, but you could touch on it.
As we know, he does not like to make these changes, these subtle changes. Granted, it's been 20 games or something in the season. He usually likes to wait till like the All-Star break and stuff like that, unless things are falling apart. But it's not like we haven't been falling apart, and he made the change anyway. So it's good to see him trying other stuff. I don't know if that's gonna work, but it's at least good to see him showing the flexibility to pulling that off. Right. So
Yeah, I think what stood out for me was that 50 win total, you know, may not come to fruition. And some of it is probably due to just the change in landscape of the Eastern Conference, right? With Orlando and Indiana, who I believe are for real. I think another thing that stood out for me is, and statistically, it probably doesn't bear this out because when you look at the statistics of each game, Randall and Brunson have been playing well. I just remember last year there was games when they would just really step up when we needed them, or at specific times in the game when we needed them to step up. And against Boston and Milwaukee, now obviously they have something to say about this. Other than who was it, Randall with the 41, I just don't get the sense that those guys are where they were last season. But the statistics say otherwise. The statistics say otherwise. I just remember them coming through in different parts of the game, last year. And I will say, as much as Thibodeau has a reputation as a defensive coach, it's been our offense the last two years that's been better ranked, than our defense. Anyway, anything else about this week before we start talking about the change? Your thoughts on the change in the starting lineup?
Well, Quinn, just to piggyback off your comments in regards to Brunson and Randall, I totally agree with you with that. But specifically, Jalen Brunson, I don't think Jalen Brunson is playing at the same level as he did last season. And a lot of people are saying that he's all-star caliber, which I still think he is. But I don't think Jalen Brunson is taking the next step to get in that conversation this year. I think he has regressed. I'm not saying he's completely playing poorly. He took a step backwards, but he has not played up to the same level that we saw him last season. And I think with the emergence of Halliburton and how great Halliburton's playing, we might be having the same conversation about Jalen Brunson at the All-Star break about Halliburton getting put over him, because he just hasn't shown an increased level of play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even though, if you look at it statistically, his statistics are better and his shooting is better as well. But I'm just looking, to me, it's not the stats. It's just the particular points in the game where he would come through for us, the particular points in the game where he would just take over for us. I'm just not seeing that. In that Milwaukee game, and listen, guys have bad nights. It happens. He was 0 for 5. In the Boston game, he was 0 for 5 for 3. And I'm just used to Brunson coming through for us in particular moments in the game, even though I get it overall, statistically on paper, he's having a better season points wise and percentage wise. So I definitely agree. And the same thing with Randall. Randall had a great game against Milwaukee. His assists are up. His shooting percentages are down across the board. I haven't checked it. I know he was pretty terrible the first few games, and maybe that's dragging it down overall, and he's picked it up.
Right.
I haven't really parsed those numbers out yet, but I'm used to Randall beasting a little more too. But when you look at the stats are there, you know. But yeah, I definitely agree with that, and that's what you're gonna, because think about it. We were good last year because Brunson came through. Those games were close, but Brunson would come through in the clutch. You know, Randall would pace us in the first quarter, particularly. You know, I don't know. We talked a lot. Let me ask you guys this. We talked a lot coming into the season about continuity. Is it continuity when you have guys, the same guys, but playing in different roles? You know, less minutes, more minutes, playing with different lineups. Do you think that's the issue? Well, I guess the question is your thoughts on the continuity. Is that is it what we thought it would be? Ajay, we'll start with you. We'll go back around.
Well, I mean, what did we think it would be? To me, continuity is your core player being the same. Doesn't matter what role they play or how many minutes they play, because if you develop a chemistry with the guy, you know the guy's skills and talent, and you know their flexibility and what they can do, what they can't do. So continuity is like knowing what your teammate is capable of, what they can do, and where they're going to be on the court. You know what I'm saying? So it's continuity is continuity. It's the elements that are part of the team, the teammates that are sticking together, that constitutes that. So whether if you want to talk about their role or how many minutes they play, then it's never the same team. Then you can never achieve continuity because it's never the same team. Even if it's the same guys, even if it's the exact same players, the following season it's not the same team because those same guys have acquired experience. They've acquired talent. They've acquired some sort of development. And you can't really compare even the same group of guys to the guy that were the year before. So continuity is, I mean, that is what the Knicks are selling. That's what they sold, and that's what they're basing this year on. And is it going to work? Time will tell. As the season goes along, we'll tell. They added, DiVincenzo. I think yeah, he's the only one they added, right? And they remove Obi Toppin. So for the most part, it's really the same guys, and they are betting on continuity to get them to the next level. I don't know if that's going to work, and I don't know if we don't know. Like, we just have to wait and see. So they banking on that, and the development of the younger players hasn't materialized yet. At least this far in the season, we haven't seen any major steps. Anybody take major steps to see, that was a good move. We don't know. We can't tell until we keep moving along this season to see where it's going to take us. So
Okay. Jeff, your thoughts on continuity and yeah, overall?
I would say that a couple things. First of all, remember at the beginning of the season last year, we started really slow and we were 10-13. And so, so from that standpoint, the continuity seems to certainly have helped. I mean, the NBA is about matchups, though, and the plain truth of the matter is the top two teams in the Eastern Conference who we've played 5 times, and that's over half of our losses, are teams we don't match up well against. Adding Drew Holiday and Kristaps to Boston is like double kryptonite for us because Holiday can guard Brunson really well because he's one of the best defenders in the league. And then you have Kristaps who pulls Mitchell Robinson out of the paint or makes him make choices in drop coverage. And really both games that they killed us with drop coverage, whatever we decided. If he didn't go out all the way on the 3-point shooter, they were raining and draining. And when he did go out on the 3-pointer, they were attacking the ball handler. And they were attacking and just going straight to the rim and getting a dunk. So, I think from that standpoint, I think it's a little bit unfair to say that, the continuity is not doing anything. I think we're kind of what we thought we were. We're not, we're a good team. We're not a contender. And I think everybody here kind of thought that. I still think we're on pace to win between 45 and 50 ball games. I think they're still capable of doing that. They're going to have some obstacles to overcome, but that's what seasons are, or obstacles to overcome. I think it's not fair to compare us to Orlando and Indiana really until we've gotten a chance to play them. It's not like that we've lost our games to those teams, and we split with Cleveland. We've beat Atlanta twice. We have a win over Miami. And so, really what we're talking about here is we're getting boat raced by the top dogs. And that doesn't feel good, but I don't think that means you throw out the baby with the bathwater either. And
so in other words, Jeff, we need to just bring it back for those of us that's on the ledge.
I think so.
Okay. Okay. All right. You might be right about that. And we're top 10 in offense, defense, and net. They're about. Josh?
So in regards to continuity, the negative thing about continuity from the Knicks standpoint is like they sold us on continuity because they were basically, for the most part, inactive in the offseason and improving the roster. I think it was fool's gold for anyone to assume that this team would simply get to the next level with this current roster missing a bona fide top player in the NBA. This team is not going to get to the next level with this roster, plain and simple. We may win a few more games during the regular season, but come playoff time, I just never thought that the continuity would get us to that next level, meaning perennial conference final contender. I never thought that was. And as far as the ledge, I never was on the ledge because this team is who I thought they were going to be. Mid, for lack of a better word, this team is mid until they improve the roster. Last thing I'll say is last season, the Knicks were basically around mid until they got Josh Hart. Won 9-10 games in a row, whatever it was, and that took them to the next level during the season. And I think this team is on track to, and the previous year, Derrick Rose. I think this season is going to be the same thing unless we make some change to the roster, bring in someone that can help us, help the roster out. I think we'll be the same type of team until we are able to get that player this season. So continuity for me, the only thing I don't like about it is the fact that Nick sold us on that to get us to the next level, which is obviously not the case.
Yeah, well, they don't talk, so I don't know if they were trying to sell us that this was going to get us to the next level. But yeah, I definitely didn't think, and I think that, and I definitely wasn't part of team stand pat.
Queen, I want to say real quick, they do talk. Like Leon Rose doesn't sit down and talk, but he leaks it through, Alan Hahn and those guys. Like those guys are getting the story from those guys, from the source. Okay,
Well,
he won't sit. No, like they all of a sudden you see Alan Hahn, is Wally Zerbiak. Everybody talk about continuity. It's not out of the blue. It comes from the office. Okay, they don't all of a sudden start talking about it without getting it from the office.
Okay, and also just to add to that real quick, like what else? I mean, I get it. They're probably not actively selling us on it, like from their mouth, but what the heck else do they really have to sell besides bringing back the same team from last year and making a switch Donte DiVincenzo for Obi Toppin? They don't really have anything to sell. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of Knicks fans, because we're fanatics and we love the team, we want to believe that it's going to take us to the next level. But I just never thought it did, and looks like it's the same right now.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Even championship teams are trying to upgrade their roster to try to stay ahead. I think the Knicks are just waiting for the home run. I think that's their thing. I don't think it's that they don't want to, upgrade the team. They're just going to sit, stand pat, and wait for the home run. I forgot who I was talking to this about, but You know how we would get money, be like, okay, I'm gonna put this part of my money aside. I ain't gonna touch this. This is going toward my house or my new car. This my spending money right here. And I feel like the Knicks have enough assets that they can put some assets away for that big fish if they were to ever become available, and then use their play money, you know what I mean, to see what they could do to upgrade the team. But clearly, that's not how they're thinking. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the change in the starting lineup from Grimes to DiVincenzo. I have to say, at the end of that game, it's only been one game. DiVincenzo had 6 shots. I said that starting lineup is the death knell right there. You, you in that starting lineup, you might get some shots, you might not, you know. But for me, it was just good to see Grimes um, look more alive and look more involved and move around, a little bit. The same offense, like he always said, "Oh, they got me stuck in the corner." And I think some of it is just the players that he's playing with. He has to stay there to space the floor for them. But in that second unit, he cut, he handled the ball. He knocked down some shots. He got 10 shots. He got 3 shots by the top of the second in the game. And he got 10 for the game. So kudos, for him. One of the things that's becoming clear to me is the Brunson, Randall, RJ. You can even throw Mitch pairing in there. I'm not. I don't know about that. I'm starting to have reservations. That like those. That's just how they play. It doesn't matter who is in there. That's just how they play. They're gonna take the shots because they feel like I can hit them. Let me just pull this up really quick, and then I'll get you guys take um on the matter. This is just what they've been doing so far. Grimes is outpacing DiVincenzo in minutes. Grimes 6.2 points, 1.3 rebounds, shooting 37% from the field, 35% from three, 66% from the free throw line. But that's a very small sample size. I think maybe 2 or 3 shots, at the free throw line. I think he's a better free throw. I know he's a better free throw shooter than that. DiVincenzo in 21 games, just 20 minutes. Nothing changed in the minutes distribution. Again, only one game. 8.9 points, 2.8 rebounds, 42% from the field, 42% from three, 68% from the free throw line. 1 turnover, 0.6 turnovers for Grimes. Again, it's only been one game. But just your thoughts on the move. And then we'll go. Jeff can go first this time. Josh, and then Ajay.
Well, as you said, it's far too soon to draw any conclusions, but I think you hit the nail on the head. When you've got 3 high usage players in the starting lineup, all there is crumbs for everybody else, and that's kind of what makes Mitchell Robinson so useful as a 5-man, because he doesn't need anything but crumbs. So, but still, I think you're gonna. I would predict you're gonna see DiVincenzo's shots to be down and Grimes' shots to be up, and whether those percentages fluctuate or flip flop or whatever, I don't know. I'm a little bit more concerned about the defense at the point of attack with Donte DiVincenzo in the starting lineup. Grimes is our best perimeter defender on 2/3, I would say, unless you're going to decide that RJ is going to take that assignment. And RJ's been better defensively this year, but I don't know if that's the best thing for our defense or not. So that part is kind of concerning to me. But Donte does a lot of he's just a smart NBA player, and he does a lot of things that help you win. I think he's a great cutter. I think you have the possibility of running the pick and roll between he and Randall, or even he and Brunson, and creating some mismatches and doing some fun things on offense that I don't know that you can do with Quentin Grimes. So from that standpoint, I think it's fine. To me, it's kind of like
Rearranging chairs on the deck. Just rearranging chairs on the deck.
that's how I see it. That's how I see it. you know, and look, we all want to. Well, you and I want an upgrade at the 2. You know,
Right.
I would be happy to move
Off
on
this
from both
roster.
of those guys. Yeah,
Off
for
this
this
roster.
roster.
Off
Yeah.
it. Yeah. The upgrade is not
Yeah.
on the roster. Yeah.
And I agree with that. The solution is not there, and I think to Josh's point, that may be the one shot in the arm, for lack of a better phrase, that we would get that could, you know, give us a boost going
100%.
forward. But
Yeah.
100%.
But you know, I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, just because of the assets that we have, and you know, the money that they're making, and those sorts of things. I'm not sure that that really aligns with the players that can help us with that, just from a contract standpoint. I haven't looked at it too deeply, but I did see an article that kind of indicated that, you know, if you're talking about a trade, obviously Evan Fournier and his 18 or 19 million is going to be in there somewhere. But, you know, Grimes doesn't make that much. Quickly doesn't make that much. And so, you know, if you're talking about guys in the 23 to $25 million range, who is it that you're going to bring in that's going to move the needle for this club for that amount of money? And if you look at the list, I don't think there's a lot of folks that you can look at and say, yes, we're demonstrably better because that person is on the roster for a deal that the other team is going to be willing to make. You know,
Right.
Obviously trades are two-sided. So I'm not sure that that a savior is walking through the door at the trade deadline. In fact, I would be shocked if this wasn't the roster the entire season, and then whatever changes that we're going to make happen in the offseason.
But do we need a savior though? I mean, you can't get an upgrade at the 2 for 23, you know, for 23 million. Somebody that can knock down shots that the players have to respect, because otherwise they don't seem to be giving up their shots. Anyway, Josh.
Well, you guys said some great things, and I think, Queen, with, you know, you and Jeff's willingness and thought process of, if we need to upgrade the 2, and we do need to upgrade it too. If by saying that alone, I think that 4 players that you mentioned, Mitch, RJ, Randall, and Brunson, can work. It can work. You just have to upgrade the 2. And Jeff, I think that there are players out there that we can go out and get that can be an upgrade at the 2. For me, I'm not really concerned about the shooting per se, because I think Donte DiVincenzo is going to be a more reliable shooter than Quentin Grimes. I just think that for this team, and I've always said this, ball handling needs to be a priority. I think you can be able to have a 2-guard come in there and be the primary ball handler and let Brunson and Randall play off of that guy. And there's 2 players that I think are going to be available this season at the trade deadline, DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine. I think any one of those players right there can take us to that next level with the current core that we have right now. And by going to the next level, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you a championship. I don't think no one move at this point will guarantee any team a championship, but you want to get to a point of contention. Perennial contention, so that every single year you're right there, a couple things falling your way, and then you can finally bring the chip home. And I think a lot of Knicks fans don't look at it that way. They want the savior, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It has to be someone who can get us to the next level, keep us there for a perennial period of time, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I think Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan for me, and DeRozan's the cheaper option. My only reservation about that is just the spacing. With RJ, but I think you can play in the mid-range and still be a great floor spacer. You don't have to park out behind a 3-point line. Dwayne Wade is a great example of that. He was never a great 3-point shooter, but in the mid-range, he drew attention to himself and had guys play off of him. So I think DeRozan can have the same effect on this team. Get the ball out of Brunson's hands. He doesn't need to have the ball in his hands all the time. He is just as good as a catch and shoot guy as he is with the ball in his hands. And I think Randall can be a good catch and shoot guy, get the ball out of his hands, limit turnovers. So I think there are some players out there that we can go get at the 25 to $30 million range. Fournier's contract, obviously, we need to use it before we lose it. So we might as well go out and make a move now.
Yeah, I don't know about DeRozan. We've talked about that. I'm going back and forth. I know the last time I was on the show, Knicks and Bruises, I was warming up to DeRozan. Now I'm back on the other side. But I guess it can work. I just feel like this team, everybody is trying to get their shots in the same space. What I do like about DeRozan though is he knows how to play, if that makes sense. And I just feel like on this team, we need players that are on another level. He's seasoned. He's been in the league before. This is a really young team. We got players who have never been there before. You got Randall and Brunson, and you may want to include RJ in there, who are kind of, seasoned somewhat, ready, so to speak. And then other guys that it may take them another year or two or so to get ready. So I do like that about DeRozan. He's a vet. He's been around. He's been there. And I think his playmaking ability is underrated. I like that about him.
100%.
Yeah, I like that about him as well. I wouldn't be mad, with DeRozan. I'm not pounding the table, but I wouldn't be mad. And, Levine, my issue with Levine is not having a lot of playoff experience. But you look at a lot of these other guys I like, SGA, no play. I mean, that's just, you just got to roll the dice and just believe that when that moment comes, they'll be ready. Ajay,
It's such a terrible place to be. Well, it is like you like in the middle of nowhere. But are those? Well, I think the Rosen trade sounds possible, but are those trades even possible? Is Zach Levine a possibility? Like between the money and the contract, the length of his contract and all that stuff. Yeah,
it's all
Josh.
possible. It's just whether they want to
Yes.
pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Listen, I think we all agree that a good move would make sense right now. We do need. I mean, this team does need a shot in the arm, and as Jeff said, and I don't know if we can rely on count on that front office to do something like that. I mean, a couple of weeks ago it was about continuity, right? Continuity, and then when you pull that off, you disrupt that. So all that goes in the trash.
Okay.
Actually, real quick. So the proposed trade, obviously, you're including Evan Fournier in that deal, right? You're not losing continuity by putting him in there. You're not losing continuity by putting some draft picks in there, right? You're not losing continuity by trading a player like Quentin Grimes, maybe, who already his minutes are way down anyway, in favor of Donte DiVincenzo. I don't think you're going to lose that much continuity. And in fact, I think you add to it as long as you keep the core. That core four that Queen mentioned, as long as you keep that unit together, you're not losing much continuity. You're just adding to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you call core, because Quentin Grimes to me was part of the core. That okay. I mean, maybe to some people he's not, but this is somebody who they were hell bent on keeping him, and it was rumored that he was the reason why, one of the main reasons why they didn't pull the Donovan Mitchell trade. So to me, that is part of the core. But I guess it depends on how you could look at it, how you see it.
And I'm all for disrupting continuity for a little bit to bring in a player that's going to make us better, because it's not like you can't find chemistry, a little later, down the line. So it might be a bit disruptive, but is it worth it?
It's always worth it if you're improving your team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm all for it.
It's like continuity. Sometimes you do that when something's working well. If it's iffy and suspect, you got to disrupt it. You got to bring in other elements to make it better.
I agree. B-Baller for real, I agree, but I think the thing with DeRozan, coming in, he does need the ball in his hand to be effective, and it'll be less shots going around, all around. Maybe RJ takes less shots. Maybe RJ goes more into the role that I envision him in anyway, which is, as long as he could continue to defend his position, just an all-around player. I don't know, 15, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, defend the position. But I agree. DeRozan does need the ball in his hand to be effective. He's not a catch and shoot guy that's just going to be playing off of other guys. So they're going to have to work it out, in terms of usage and shot selection and things like that. But DeRozan can play. You know what I mean? DeRozan is a good player. Go ahead, Josh.
Steph, I just want to say I disagree with B-Baller forever. I think the part about DeRozan needing the ball as much as the big three. I don't think the big three needs the ball that much. right? We can take the ball out of Randall's hands and we can be okay. We can turn them into catch and shoot. Same with Brunson. I don't think Brunson should be shooting 20-something shots a game. I mean, he's very, very efficient, but if Brunson is that clutch player that we need him to be, and he's able to knock shots down at the end of games, you can take his ball out. You can take the ball out of his hands to do that. Excuse me. Wow, double talking. But you can do that, right? So I don't think the big three needs the ball that much. I just think that we're so used to seeing it because we don't have anybody else, right? Quentin Grimes, catch and shoot player. Donte DiVincenzo is the same thing, So that's where I'm coming from with that. Yes, DeRozan's going to need the ball. He's not going to be a catch and shoot guy, but I think that ball handling element, the IQ in the mid-range game helps our offense and our team and our playoff ceiling tremendously.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know about Randall being catch and shoot though, but Randall's role may not change as much. But I agree with Brunson. Brunson can play both ways, and I've always said if we ever get a star player on this team, Brunson is not going to have any problems taking a step back. And I think we're going to see Brunson can be more of a point guard when he doesn't have shot making and scoring responsibilities. He played that way with FIBA. He made some passes that I didn't even know he had in his bag. So I think he could be that if we had guys who could take that that scoring load off. And you know how I feel about Brunson having to bring the ball up, like he in high school. You got the one player that's bringing the ball up all the time because nobody else can handle the ball.
The big example is Emmanuel Quickly. Go ahead. I think Ajay was about to say that, but the big example is Emmanuel Quickly. Look at the end of games when the Knicks have him out there playing with Brunson and Randall. Emmanuel Quickly is the guy doing all the playmaking. He has the ball in his hands for the most part, and they turn Randall and Brunson into catch and shoot guys or finishers or what have you. So sorry, AJ, my bad.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree with you guys. It's a very simple equation, Queen. If he's the best shooter on the court, he has to take more shots. If you bring in somebody else who can score, he's not gonna take as many shots. Right. The point of the game is you got to score, right? So if Quinn Grimes not shooting, Mitchell Robinson's not shooting, RJ, he has to take the shots. He doesn't have a choice. That's the right play. That's the right thing to do.
For now, yeah.
For now, that's what I'm saying. But if you bring somebody else that's a reliable scorer, I trust and believe he will pass the ball to that guy. So,
right. Yeah. For sure. Anybody, somebody made a comment. I don't know if you guys wanted to comment on it or not. Amani the Great, Minneapolis, appreciate you. Salute. The question is, why was Brunson still in the game with 23 seconds left and down by 12? Well, that's Tibbs.
well, listen, the same Jason Tatum was in the game. Okay. It could have happened to Jason Tatum, and then everybody would be asking why he left Tatum in the game. In the heat of the moment, that's what they do. It's not the end of the world. It's listen, he could have gotten hurt in the first minute of the first half of the first quarter. All right, it's basketball. It happens. I mean, injuries they're random. They happen randomly. Happened minute one, happened the last minute. It could have happened.
Anybody else wanted to comment? I don't have a comment, but if anybody else wanted to comment on it. Are we really talking about guards when we literally have 3 bigs on the team right now? Yeah, I'm talking about players that can, but I agree. We could definitely use some, some size on this roster. All right. Let's talk about Mitch being out. Yeah, right. Right. The Knicks have just officially got shorter. Mitchell Robinson out 8 to 10 weeks. I think they said he would be reevaluated in 8 to 10 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. He had surgery, I believe it was on his left ankle. Mitchell Robinson has been playing big for us. Some of it shows on the stat sheet, some of it doesn't. This is not the first time he's been out. We found the way. I'm not saying that we was just as good, but we found the way, and hopefully we're able to find a way. Again, I just want to put this up before we start discussing. This is the per 36 between Robinson and Hartenstein. 7 points for Mitch, 7.6 points, 12.7 rebounds, 1.6 blocks, 1.9 steals, 0.9 assists, shooting 59% from the field, 36.8% from the free throw line. Hartenstein, 10.9 points, 11.4 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, 1.8 steals, 2.5 assists, 56.3% from the field, 33.3% from three. And let's not get excited. I think he only took like 2 or 3, 3-pointers. 65.6% from the field. But this is the thing. Hartenstein hasn't been logging the minutes this season. So it's one thing to kind of extrapolate it out over 36 minutes. It's one thing to actually play the games. And Hartenstein, he's played extended minutes before. I don't know if he's played it for this long. Just your thoughts on Mitchell Robinson and how that may impact us offensively, defensively, or otherwise. Josh?
I think it's going to be huge for this team. It's going to be huge. We're going to miss Mitchell Robinson a lot. You talk about offensive rebounding. I think he's the best offensive rebounder in basketball. Steven Adams wasn't there for the most part during the season. So I think that spot goes to Mitch. We're going to miss that. The Knicks are not really shooting the ball that great overall throughout the season. So those offensive rebounds definitely helped us and help our point totals. But also, he's the anchor to defense, right? He is the guy that literally the Knicks build their defensive game plan around, and we're not going to have him. So, and we're already struggling defensively right now as it is, right? So I think the Knicks are in trouble, and they got to find a way. Hopefully Hartenstein can be able to bear some of that brunt, but I just don't know. Now, granted, the Knicks, when Mitchell Robinson was hurt before previous seasons, the Knicks were still able to overcome. But I just think Mitchell Robinson was playing at a really all NBA defensive level before this happened. So let's see.
Ajay and then Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with Josh. We're going to be hurting. Granted, in the past, last year when we lost Mitch, I was like, oh, okay, we're doomed. The season's gone. But, Jericho Sims and Isaiah Hartenstein came in. They did a tremendous job, and they kept us afloat. I mean, we actually had a positive winning record. We had a winning record in that stretch. We did fairly well. Not that we don't need Mitch. We do need him. But listen, if we could do what we did last year when he was out, it won't be, it's not the end of the world. So, I mean, tonight, let's see how it plays out pretty much, because this year, I don't know if we're shooting the ball worse this year than we were last year, but it seems as though we are.
Yeah.
It seems like his
overall, not from three. We're shooting better from three.
It seems like his rebounding is more crucial to us this year, for some reason, because it looks like without Mitch's rebounding, like would be underwater right now. But listen, next man up, right? The next guy's got to step up. Jericho Sims been sitting on that bench waiting for his opportunity, so this is his opportunity for him. This is the opportunity for him to show up and show that he belongs in this league or he belongs on this team. So let's see what he comes up with.
Yeah. Jeff?
Well, I think a couple things. First, I think the major difference between Hartenstein and Robinson defensively is that Robinson being in the paint is much more of a deterrent to drivers than Hartenstein. Not that Hartenstein is a bad defender, but people are willing to go at him in a way that they're not willing to attack Robinson.
Correct.
So I think from that standpoint, that makes us worse off defensively. But Hart's a terrific player. I think he brings some different things to the table that we can take advantage of if we choose to. His playmaking is pretty good. That could unlock some things for us that we don't have when Mitch is in there. But my biggest thing is, it's reevaluated in 8 to 10 weeks. Here we are, and it's December the 11th. So you figure that takes you at least into February, right? And then if it's another 2 weeks after that, that gets you into March, right? And the season's almost over at that point. So you're talking about probably 40 games without Mitch. That's a lot more than we did last year. I think you can cover things up a little bit easier for a 10-game stretch than you can for a 40-game stretch.
Right.
And so Hartenstein's going to be challenged. I think Sims will probably start just because Thibodeau kind of likes to do that, and keep but then Hartenstein's going to finish. I think that Sims minutes he'll get the Obi Toppin minutes, or somewhere in the 10 to 12 range, and then you'll see Hartenstein, assuming there's not foul trouble, finish it up from there. But Ihart's a really good player. He's a very good rebounder also. He's not the best in the league. I agree with Josh on that, but he's pretty good. And everybody else is just going to have to step up. I think one of the disappointing things about the Julius Randle game in Boston was 5 rebounds. I think, as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the best rebounders we have. I mean, and he's, his 10 boards a game is crucial to us. So hopefully he can step up in that category and take a leap. But this is gonna, you got to overcome obstacles, and this is a big obstacle. There's no doubt about it. But I know this Knicks team, they're certainly not going to lay over and die just because Mitchell Robinson's on the shelf for half a season. I know that. I mean, it's not in their personality.
For sure. I will say this, though. As far as the defensive rebounds, we're going to be fine. Right? Mitch averaged about 5 offensive rebounds, 5 defensive rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. Hartenstein is a very good defensive rebounder. He might even be slightly better than Mitch in terms of defensive rebounding percentage. I have to check that out. We're not going to miss that. But on the offensive rebounds, to Josh's point, I don't know where we are. I haven't looked lately in terms of our field goal percentage. Not great. And so being able to get those second chance points really helps us out. Now, Robinson gets 5. Hartenstein gets about 2. Maybe with more minutes, maybe he can get 3. He's not going to get as much as Mitchell Robinson got, but he's still top 20. I didn't check since maybe like the first week or 2 of the season. Top 20 in offensive rebounding. And if he gets more minutes, you would expect that that'll go up. But to Jeff's point, the intimidation factor is not going to be there on the defensive end. Hartenstein is a really good position defender in the sense he'll get there. But I've seen so many times him get to the spot and they score anyway, right over him, even though he was where he was supposed to be. So I think that puts some pressure. That puts some pressure on our perimeter defenders, with Mitch not being out. Hartenstein's not a slouch. It's not like he's a cone. It's not like he can't block shots, but he's not Mitch, so our perimeter defenders, they're gonna have to be on point.
I love the Law and Order segue when Queen was talking. She's laying down the law. Whoever got Law and Order playing in the background, I love it. And Queen, the Knicks are 26th in field goal percentage amongst all 30 teams. 26.
Yeah. And our 3-point percentage is carrying us. So just imagine if we weren't shooting well from the 3-point line, where we would be. So yeah, we'll see how it play out. Now, 3 years ago when Mitch only played 39 games, we did okay too. But again, it just changes everything. Changes everything for Randall. It changes things for our perimeter defense. It just changes things.
But Nerlens Noel was a Mitchell Robinson clone that year until the playoffs. Nerlens provided everything that we were getting out of Mitch until he got hurt in the playoffs, and then he vanished. But during the regular season, Nerlens Noel made you forget about Mitchell Robinson. He really just filled that role 100% completely and locked it down in a way that he really hasn't played since. And I don't know if that's because of injury or whatever, but so from that standpoint, I think Isaiah Hartenstein's capable of doing the same thing.
We'll see. He'll have ample opportunity. I would like to see him start, but I get it. If he goes with Sims to keep him in his same role, I get it. I just, the possibility with that starting lineup, but again, he staggers the lineups anyway, so he'll still get some looks with the starting, with the starting lineup. Um, Anything else? What will Well, I guess we talked about that, right? What we'll lose or what we'll gain. Definitely gain on the offensive end, and just in terms of teams having to respect Isaiah Hartenstein a little bit, and opening up a little space for us, and also the passing ability, and just opening up some passing lanes for us. So I'm looking forward to that. He can get turnover prone too, in terms of trying to make these extra passes. So that'll be interesting to see. What about Sims? How confident are we with Sims? How many minutes do we think Sims will get, Josh?
For me, I like Sims better with the starting lineup because of pick and roll. I think Jericho Sims is a phenomenal, for a young player, a young big man. He's a really good screener. And I think that starting lineup runs a little bit more pick and rolls in the second unit. I think if Hartenstein will be out there, or Hartenstein will be out there, I think it's more dribble handoff. You know what I mean? They give it to Hartenstein on the elbow, and then, he can either give it up or, kind of go back door or something like that. I think Sims can help us in the pick and roll game. I would like to see, let's see if Randall can probably do it with Sims, just like he was doing with Robinson. And we can be able to find Sims for some easy looks. But, it's got, to me, I think it'll be a little bit more the same from an offensive perspective when Jericho Sims is out there. Defensively, I don't think so, but definitely offensively.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with our pick and roll offense when it comes to our bigs. I just think there's more opportunities with Robinson that we don't take advantage of. Let's. I'm not sure if it's going to be any better with Sims. Let's see. Anybody else want to comment on Sims? No.
It's just with him. It's just a wait and see with Jericho Sims. Like he's a good player, but with the starting lineup, I think he's gonna fit just right. And they should really keep Isaiah Hartenstein with the second unit. He plays really well with the second unit, so keep him coming off the bench. Give Jericho Sims those. Have him with the starting. Like, in terms of minute, Tibbs will probably go small a lot more. Depending on the team we play, I don't know. When you play the Raptors, it's kind of tough to go small because there's a bunch of big guys over there.
Stephon Bonde just tweeted Jericho Sims is starting for the Knicks.
Yeah, okay. There you go. So yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
Question: do you think that we add Taj Gibson? This is a break in case of emergency, kind of a player. I mean, just a question because we are really thin.
We should have done that before Mitch went out. We should have done that as a Taj Gibson as a good big body backup for Julius Randle anyway.
Right. Good. To your point, John Bryce. What happens if either one of them get into foul trouble? Does Randall or Grimes play the 5?
Yes, Randall would play the 5. Tibbs would do that.
Emmanuel Quickly is also out tonight.
Yeah.
Also.
How about Jalen? Is Brunson going to play?
Nothing yet about that, honestly.
I think he was game time decision, they said.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think Sims does allow that starting unit to play the way they've been playing, so they don't really have to make changes with him. He's active on the defensive boards. I think he gets some offensive boards too. He's just not going to put it back up, but he'll get second chance opportunities for us. And he's going to play hard. He's going to run the floor hard. He's going to set screens that actually make contact. As Josh said, though, Mitch has gotten better in that. In that respect. So yeah, Tibbs has confidence in him. So, he'll be there. Now with Quick out, then that moves McBride up in the rotation, I would think. Do you think he runs that second unit? Because remember now he'll stagger a minute. You got DiVincenzo in the starting unit now. So now you got Grimes and McBride in the second unit. Just thoughts on McBride. Do you think he's going to get a lot of minutes? Do you think basically this is going to be an 8-man rotation? or a 7-man rotation with like a little spot minutes for Sims and spot minutes for McBride? How do you think it's going to play out? AJ?
That's a tough question, man. I mean, Tibbs, you'd never. Nothing's impossible with that guy, man. It might really be a 7-man rotation, and everybody's out of breath by the time the second quarter gets here. Deuce is going to get some minutes. He's definitely going to get some minutes. Hey, listen, you might see some other guys too. Daquan Jeffries might get some minutes.
I would be shocked.
No, listen, yeah, I know people were shocked when Evan Fournier got minutes, but Daquan Jeffries might get some minutes. In case of emergency, we got to break the glass at this point.
Yeah, I have a lot more faith in McBride since preseason, seeing him bringing the ball up. Usually when he's in the and running the offense, usually when he was in last season, he was playing off the ball. And seeing him, run the team, play on the ball, I have a little more, much more confidence in him, whether his shot falls or not. If you can run the team and you could play, good defense, you could be helpful. Jeff?
Well, Deuce will probably play a little bit, but I don't think he's going to get more than 5 or 6, maybe 8 minutes.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is because you've already had a logjam at the guard spot with Josh Hart and DiVincenzo and so now and Grimes. So now Grimes and DiVincenzo have both kind of been not thrilled about their minutes distribution. Well, now you can raise their minutes each by about 5 or 10, and that more minutes means more shot opportunities and those sorts of things. And so I think you're just going to see the minutes shift to Donte and to Grimes mostly. I think you will see some Deuce, but I'll be surprised if Deuce has anything more than token minutes. I think he'll get in there for 8 or 10 minutes, and then the rest of it will be dispersed between DiVincenzo and Grimes. You trust those guys, and even Josh Hart. I think you could see all of their minutes go up by 7. If they all played 7 more minutes, that probably absorbs most of what Quickly was playing. So so I don't think they'll get that much, but I think they'll do 5 more minutes from each of them, and then the rest of it goes to Deuce. So whatever that equates to, that's what I think will happen.
All right, Josh. Anybody else want to?
Yeah, just real quick on so the Knicks have had the fortunate reality of not seeing Emmanuel Quickly hurt for the most part since he's been in the league. So we're gonna learn how to deal. We're gonna have to learn how to play in the second unit without him, and that second unit's gonna need ball handling. I'm not sure Miles McBride can provide it. I definitely not to the level of Quickly, but I'm not sure if the Knicks are gonna use McBride as a primary ball handler all the time in that second unit. Hopefully, they get turnovers and go the other way. Go in the fast break. That's how they're gonna have to score. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Evan Fournier out there on the floor and instead of Miles McBride for some of those minutes. I think when we seen Brunson out in the preseason, I believe it was, that's how it was. We seen Evan Fournier out there instead of McBride, or just only McBride. So we'll see. But I think that team is going to have to get turnovers. That second unit is going to have to get turnovers and go the other way, because that's their best chance of scoring, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I think the thing about it is they can actually run offense now, because I think one of the things with Quickly is, as good as he is with the ball, there are times when him, like Brunson, you could say, hijack the offense. And so if he's not in there, they can actually run through some sets. I agree. They're not going to be able to put it in McBride's hands to take somebody off the dribble and create shots that way. They're going to have to create opportunities through ball movement, because they're not going to have anybody in that second unit that can create their own shots. And
Queen, do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh no, I was just going to ask, do you think Quickly was doing that level of ball handling or the amount of ball handling in the second unit by necessity, or do you think that this team, that second unit has the ability to play in an offense where everything is moving, everything is clicking, they don't have a primary ball handler on the floor with them?
Yeah, because you can actually run you can run your offense through Hartenstein if you wanted to. You could, yeah. So I just think it's going to look different. It's going to be, a ball movement, cutting, like what we want from that starting unit.
Starting unit.
That's what's going to happen in that second unit, because those guys can't create their own shots. And so now those who think I'm anti-ball, you're going to need ball movement in that second unit, because you don't have anybody in there that can create create their shot. And you're going to need cutters too. You're gonna need that in the second unit. And if they lock down defensively, that second unit is going to be in trouble, because whose hands are you putting the ball in to create for themselves and for others? Nobody. Yeah. So that's going to be that's a big blow for us. Quickly being out is a big blow for us. Mitch being out is a big blow for us. And I think Hartenstein can give us more of what Mitch gives us than whoever we have that's going to take Quickly's place. They're not going to be able to do that. But sometimes teams play better when they're under duress and guys are out and, they band together. Let's see. Yeah, I would like to see Jacob Toppin. I don't think we will. I like his energy, but yeah. All right, let's talk about this week's games coming up. We play Toronto tonight in 9-13, losers of their last 3, 11th in the Eastern Conference. We beat them once. Wednesday, we play Utah, 7-15. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 12th in the Western Conference. We haven't played them yet. Friday, we play Phoenix, 12-10. They've lost their last 2, 7th in the Western Conference, 0-1 against them. And then the Clippers, 11-10. They've won 3 straight. They're 9th in the Western Conference. We're 1-0 against them. I mean, none of these teams are juggernauts, so to speak, but neither are the Knicks. And we're down, at least tonight, Mitchell Robinson and IQ. Offensive rating, I think Phoenix has the best offensive rating at 10. Clippers with 14th defensive rating. Toronto is a really good defensive team. They just don't have the shooting. The Clippers are 5th in defensive rating. So it's not like we're going out there to play the top teams, this week, but we're not firing on all cylinders ourselves. So just your thoughts on tonight's game and just this week's games overall. And let's just keep it succinct. Jeff, we'll start with you, then Ajay, Josh.
Just find a way to go 2-2. Just find a way to go 2-2. That's all. With the injuries and everything else, find a way to get 2 games. I think the first 2 are going to be the best shots at wins. So just find a way to get 2-2. I can't put it any more succinctly than that, I don't think.
I think we will go 2-2. I don't know which 2 though. I want to say probably the first 2. Like the thing with Phoenix is it's a revolving door. Like you don't know who's gonna play. They always, somebody's always hurt over there, so you don't know what team you're gonna face. But listen, yeah, probably the Raptors and Utah are our best chance of going 2-2. And if Phoenix, depending what bug hits them, we might get lucky. It's a revenge game for us, so we better go in there, prepare, and get ready to play. We shouldn't have lost that last game against them, so we should really go in there. For tonight's game, listen, man, I'm gonna be real upset at Quentin Grimes if Scotty Barnes talking smack and he don't man up and play tough with that guy, man. I am tired of Scotty Barnes running his mouth when he's playing the Knicks.
Well, you need to be tired of how he's playing, because he's playing lights out. He's playing lights out for them.
Listen, man, I don't know. Throw everything at him. I don't want him playing lights out tonight.
And that's the thing, and we've talked about it. DiVincenzo is just not the defender that Grimes is. And in terms of girth, in terms of lateral quickness, in terms of being physical, he's not that. And so a lot of these tough lineups, tough matchups are going to go to RJ Barrett, who's been playing better defensively, as Jeff pointed out, but he ain't no juggernaut, And so now if he's has to play tough defense, play these tough perimeter offensive players, what does that do to his defense, offense, excuse me, which was already beginning to, you know, I don't want to use the word regress. He's not shot well over the past few games from the 3-point line. Last game, notwithstanding. So it's like a snowball, you know, it's a snowball effect. Josh?
John Bryce just put a comment up saying, I get speaking about positivity, but we're not going to be real about this. It's going to be bad without Mitch, and I agree with them. I think these next 4 games, we're going to go 1-3. I think the only game we win is against Utah. I think we lose tonight without Quickly. And I think on the West Coast, back-to-back games against Phoenix and the Clippers, I think we lose those games as well. I don't know what the margins are going to be, but I just think, you know, the loss of Mitchell Robinson, his team is going to have to adjust fast. Tonight, I don't think they win because they don't have Quickly. And I was at the Charlotte versus Toronto game here in Charlotte on Friday. And the Raptors are just a long team. They're just extremely long, and they defend you. They came back from an 18-point deficit to almost take the lead in the fourth quarter before Charlotte was able to pull it out. So I'm just not really confident about the Knicks right now. Over this next week. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't know.
Listen, if Toronto was down 23 to 23 points to Charlotte, I'm feeling pretty confident actually.
Well, that was the start. That was to start the game. But they locked up on the defensive end in that second half, and
Right.
you know, that's how they were able to come back. So
Yeah, I mean, I you know, hopefully Quickly is not out for a long period of time. I think we're going to be okay without Mitchell Robinson. And again, I'm not saying that Mitch isn't good at what he's great at what he does. There's going to be some drop off with Hartenstein. Don't get me wrong, defensively, not rebounding wise, and there'll be an uptick offensively. But with Quickly, that's a whole other story, and which is why I always wanted the Knicks to have a third veteran point guard on the bench in case either Brunson or Quickly couldn't go. We would have somebody. I'm pushing for 2-2. I think we win tonight. I think the Knicks play with urgency. I think guys step up. You know, given that Quickly is out and Mitch is out. I think we beat Utah. I think Phoenix and the Lakers, excuse me, the Clippers. Lakers are Monday, next week, Monday. I think that's going to be tough. Tough for us. And Utah, is there some altitude issues in Utah as well?
Yep.
Wow.
It's a tough place to play for us over the years.
Yeah. That's where we turned our season around last year, though. Let's hope. Remember Randall diving on the ball for hitting it ahead to Brunson? That saved our season. All right, let's see. These are just the matchups. I just went by the last time they played, and you can see the length in Toronto. Schroeder, Barnes, OG Anunoby, Nobi, Siakam, Portal. Utah is a very young team. Keontae George is a rookie. Abaji, I think this is his second year. Fontecchio, I don't even know who that is. John Collins played for Atlanta last year. And Yurtseven played for Miami last year. I think they have Walter Kessler. I know they have Walter Kessler. He's been coming off the bench as of late. And then Phoenix, Bill. I don't know if Bill is back. I know he was, you know, practicing and soon to be back. And whenever players are out, when they play the Knicks, this is their first game back. They ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? But for now, Booker, Allen, Gordon, Durant, and Nurkic, that's tough. And the Clippers, Harden, man, Leonard, George, Zubac, with Westbrook coming off the bench. So those are the projected lineups for the Knicks. Excuse me, for our the opponent.
Man didn't play last time we played him, right? I don't remember having a game. No,
he didn't. He did not. So he'll be in the in the starting lineup. Let me just do this real quick. Oh, I can't even see that. Let me see. I think the Knicks are in 7th.
Knicks are in 7th. Yep.
Okay. The Knicks are in seven. Look at Orlando in second place, Milwaukee third, Indiana's fifth. Cleveland has climbed up to six. Just one game ahead of half a game ahead of the Knicks. Brooklyn, who we play when we come back after the 4 games out west, we play Brooklyn in the Barclay Center, Miami, Atlanta, Toronto. Listen, this Eastern Conference is super tough. Super tough. All right. Any last words?
Queen, my God, there are 126 people watching, only 10 likes.
Oh,
10 out of 126.
yeah.
That
Run
is,
them up.
yeah,
Run them up.
Come on, man. Come on. Now, we like to say on the way out, like, not even on the way out. Hit that like button, like right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Let's get it up
Sheesh.
to 85 by the time we get out of here. Support the channel. The channel has been demonetized, so there's no super chats, no monthly fees, no revenue from YouTube. You can send it through Cash App, nothing but Knicks, or PayPal.me, nothing but Knicks. Show your support to the channel. Any last words, guys?
Josh, it's been a pleasure to be on the panel with you, brother. I always
Absolutely.
love your opinions.
Absolutely.
Whether I agree with them or not, you're always well thought out. Ajay, always pleasure. The chat, you guys are amazing. And Queen is still the best hostess in the business. Every time I get to be on here with you, it's an honor. And let's get a W tonight.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just want to run through this one more time. All the Nick family of shows, pregame, postgame, the shoot around with Sam, the NBA wrap up with Ron, are still Nick fans, the controversy with Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, Losers Lounge with Tony of Knicks and Bruises, live shows and videos by International Andy, Queen's Court with myself, and special programming and events by Sim. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Knicks play Toronto, 7:30 tonight. Get your wings, get your snacks. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.